Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name's Cameron, and I want to talk about something that happens far more often than it should. People are quick to judge on appearances alone. In just a moment, they'll size you up by what you're wearing, where you're standing, or who you're with, and then decide what kind of person you must be. Now, you might be thinking, do people really still behave that way? I wish I could say no. But if you've ever been dismissed, spoken down to, or ignored, you already know the answer. At my sister's wedding, her father-in-law brushed me off completely, treating me as if I wasn't even there, until he learned who I actually was. Then, suddenly, he changed his tune. And when that moment came, I returned the gesture. You might be wondering how he went from cold to friendly so quickly. To explain, I need to take you back to the beginning. My sister Ashley and I grew up with our dad. Our mom left when we were still little, remarried, and started her life somewhere else. It was just the three of us. And honestly, we managed fine. Dad was a businessman. He had highs and lows, like anyone run their own thing. But he always made sure we had what we needed. He wasn't perfect, but he was present. I thought it would always be like that. Then one morning, everything changed. I was a few months from finishing college. Ashley was in her last year of high school. That morning, I got a phone call. There had been a car accident. Dad was gone. There's no way to prepare for that kind of news. No matter how old you are, hearing that your father is just gone, it breaks something inside you. I drove home in silence. Ashley was waiting, and I was the one who had to tell her. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. But grief wasn't the only blow. Not long after, we discovered Dad had been drowning in business debts, loans, overdue payments, financial troubles he must have been trying to quietly fix. Once the banks got word he'd passed, they didn't waste time. They seized everything, the house, the cars, the office. Within weeks, it was all gone. There were no savings left, just 2 suitcases of clothes, and 2 siblings trying to figure out how to survive. After the funeral, when the crowd was gone, it hit me. It's just us now. I didn't get the luxury of grieving like most people. I had to step into the role of provider immediately. While my classmates were planning graduation parties and internships, I was staring down bills, rent, and groceries. I couldn't afford to fail. I barely finished college. I worked anything I could get, daytime classes, nighttime jobs, barista, delivery driver, office temp, you name it. I was up before sunrise, home after midnight. My body ached constantly, but my mind never stopped. Every penny was for Ashley. Something had to give, and it ended up being my relationship. I had a girlfriend back then, and she was sweet, supportive at first, but eventually the missed calls, late replies, and canceled plans wore her down. She said things like, "I don't feel like a priority." She wasn't wrong. I couldn't give her the attention she deserved. So I ended it. Not because I stopped caring, but because I knew where my focus had to be, on pulling Ashley and me out of that hole. Love could wait. She couldn't. After graduation, I took a corporate job. It wasn't exciting, but it was steady. I still kept learning, short courses, certifications, anything to move up and earn more. Then I heard 2 old college friends were building an AI tool to automate back-end workflows. It sounded ambitious, but interesting. I reached out, offered my business and marketing skills. I wasn't an AI expert, but I was hungry to build something. That's how I joined them. The start became my side hustle, corporate job by day, startup by night. I worked until I fell asleep on my laptop, then woke up and kept going. The early years were brutal, bugs, disagreements, no real income. One co-founder quit after 2 years. I thought about quitting too, but I told myself, if this works, it changes everything. And eventually, it did. We launched a new automated logic engine, and clients loved it. Slowly at first, then all at once, demand exploded. Industry blogs wrote about us. The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Still, I didn't quit my corporate job immediately. My remaining co-founder became the public face, while I stayed behind the scenes making sure operations ran smoothly. I didn't care about the spotlight. I cared about stability. Years later, Ashley called me sounding nervous. Then she dropped it. Cam, I'm getting married. I was shocked. I barely knew the guy's name. She explained they'd known each other for years, reconnected after college, and had been serious for a while before telling me. She was happy. That was enough for me. Her fiancé wanted to meet, so we arranged dinner. The second I saw him, I recognized his face because his father was one of our biggest corporate clients, a man who had been trying to buy us out for months. I kept that to myself and focused on getting to know the guy. Parents don't always define their kids. The first time I met his father was during wedding planning. He sized me up the moment I walked in, barely looked at me when I introduced myself. Then he said, "Oh, you're just her brother. I assumed her father would be here." I told him plainly, "Our father passed away years ago." He barely reacted, then asked what I did for work. I told him simply, "I work in corporate." He nodded, unimpressed. I had a feeling one day he'd look at me differently. That day came at the wedding. I was chatting with guests when he walked by, made brief eye contact, and turned away. Deliberate, but I wasn't going to let him ruin Ashley's day. Later, I was unexpectedly called up to give a speech. No notes, so I spoke from the heart about losing our dad, stepping in as Ashley's guardian, working multiple jobs, and building a startup from scratch. I didn't brag, I just gave context. And the room went quiet in that way people do when they're rethinking everything they assumed. Afterward, the father-in-law suddenly wanted to talk, smiling, friendly, praising our software. "Why didn't you tell me you were a co-founder?" he asked. I looked him in the eye and said, "Why should I?" "So you could pretend to be nice." Then I walked away. We never sold to him. Not out of spite, just because it didn't feel right. His company still uses our software like any other client, and that's all it is, business. Ashley's happy. Her husband treats me with respect. Even after all that, that's what matters. And I took away 3 lessons. First, never judge someone's worth by what you see on the surface. You don't know what they built or survived. Second, respect shouldn't be a currency you trade. It should be your default. Third, the quietest person in the room might be holding everything together for everyone else. True respect isn't demanded or bought. It's earned by how you treat people when there's nothing to gain. Everyone has a story you don't know. Stay humble.